Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. We got a lot of work to do. I don't have time for any funny intros, so let's crack on with it. It's a super wonky cut, but we'll tidy that up in a bit. We're basically putting a recess for the intercooler to go in here, so it sits on top of here, tucked away behind the crash bar. Right, so there we go, that's the intercooler test fitted, just held in with 3 bolts on top there. Take this off and then just paint the edges where the bare metal is to protect it. Now for the radiator. Right, so we originally were going to try Renault 5 GT Turbo radiator, but the general consensus after talking to a few people was it was going to be a bit too small. So now we have a Clio 172 or 182 radiator and fan set up, so it should be a lot better than the stock one, which is pretty battered anyway after 122,000 miles. It fits into one of the existing mounting points down there, and the other one I'm just going to have to drill a separate hole here for it. Beyond that, it fits in pretty well. And then we're going to have this pipe or wrap around here, because this is where the original intercooler went. So come around here, then go up to the engine. And then this one is going to come out here, do a 90-degree turn, hopefully in here. And then it's going to come up here and feed into the Clio boost pipe, which goes this way rather than the original Twingo one, which all goes that way. Alright, so this is where we left the engine, so next step, got to get the alternator back on, and the air conditioning pump, which has seen better days, does spin, needs a lot of WD-40 on that. It's not actually going to be connected to anything, because I'm not running AC, and eventually I'll probably need to make a bracket to go on here to do, just replace the pulley or find a shorter pulley or something, but for now, interest of time, that's going to go back on. Alternator has these clamps which go either side of here, and then thankfully past me labelled these bags, so we've got 3 for the air conditioning pump. You can see there's 3 shiny bits and there's 1 very dirty one, and then they all go in these bottom ones here. Right, that's those all on. Don't have the belt with me, but the belt goes on here in some order. We'll show that when we do it. But yeah, that's all the ancillaries on, except for the starter motor, which I can't do until gearbox is on. So another job done. Also found another bolt to go in here. You can see these 4 all came out in the wrong order. That's probably not even the right one, but it looks the same. Everything's interchangeable, right? Right, just fitting the auxiliary drive belt. So it's around the crankshaft, the AC pump, alternator, and then the tensioner. So you need a 20mm socket. Basically you crank down on here to tighten it all, and then you just put a torque spot in there to tighten it up where you get to where you want it. Pretty nifty. It's on like a little ratchet mechanism. Everything's spinning around as it should. Very hard to do this one-handed. There you go. Right, so I think everything is back on the engine. Just going to give it all a tighten up. And then we have to get this to the front of the house. Let me show you the way. Right, so engine's on the engine stand. Use the crane to get it off and put it on a trolley. And then it has to come down here, past the assault course of the hose pipe, the wheelbarrow, another pallet, this, which we're just using to fill up our raised beds. Here's the trolley it'll be going on. All the way down here, avoiding breaking the soil pipe there, avoiding breaking the gutter there, avoiding all the electric and other boxes. Here's all the soil and compost left over from doing those raised beds. So we have to move all the cars out the way. All the way around here. And into the engine. And before it goes in, we then also need to get the gearbox, clutch, put that all back together, out the front of the house, and just lift it in. Right, as you can see, the engine is now on the trolley for moving. Put the clutch cover plate back on. And I put a clutch plate or disc, whatever you want to call it, in. This is not the one that came off the car. This is off this actually, and the clutch cover plate. Dishwasher designed to drain in the background. Are off a different GT, so they're matched together because the one I took off had some bent fingers on it from me incorrectly putting it on the engine mount. And you're supposed to use a tool to line this back up, but I've just eyeballed it. So we'll see whether this actually is lined up when I try and put the gearbox in a moment. And if it doesn't, there's going to be a womp 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 noise very soon. Oh, that's quite a surprise. So I didn't bother filming it because I thought I'll just lift it up by myself, see whether it actually aligns, because it's not going to align. I have to take it all apart. And it went on with zero trouble or effort or having to spin the flywheel or anything. It just slid straight on. So this is either perfect or it's going to be a catastrophic failure very quickly. But yeah, gearbox and engine all on. There's 3 bolts underneath that I can't get to because it's sat on the tyre. So when this is hoiked up in the air, we'll put them in. But yeah, time to wheel it around the side of the house. So I put the starter motor on, which goes in here, but I hadn't taken the loom off it. So it's got all the loom still attached. So yeah, that has 1 bolt in there. It's going to have another one in here when I find one. And then it's just a case of figuring out which wires go where. Most are pretty obvious. We'll do a lot of this in the car because I think a lot of them are going to connect back into the other loom that's in there. But there's a few that you can tell where they go. This one clearly went into the throttle body. This one clearly goes into the fuel rail. Put all the fuel rail, connects it back on. This one came down here and had what I presume is the throttle position sensor on here. Go dog. Which then meant that one goes on to the lambda sensor. One of these is going to go to the gearbox reverse, which I'm going to guess is the blue one. So somewhere down here we're going to have this. That's going to go there. Don't know about a lot of these. We'll see. Also got the gearbox mount in, so that's ready. I just need to get the one on the other side. And yeah, it's the fuse box. It's getting there. Looks an absolute state. Oh, also, been trying to figure out how on earth I get a push fit connector onto the threaded one, which is in the car body, you've seen dripping in a previous part. Thanks to Irish Robbie for sending me a picture of his. Found this rolling around in the shed, which is a brake union, very crusty, needs a good clean, to a push connection. Missing the spring out of there though, so I need to find a spring or clip to go in there, and then the other one will go in, because yeah, this is not going to stay in. Right, so we just drilled out the hole that was there with the old stepper drill bit, so we now have a nice big hole. So hopefully we should be able to rest this. Move hands. Where are we? Can't do this one-handed. So yep, that's in there, and then the other one will fit in there. Right, much like the engine loom, which I can't remember if I will be editing this in before or after this one, the interior loom connects. It's pretty much only one place for everything to go. So we've got this into the ABS unit, this into the brake fluid reservoir. We have one line that goes to the ABS sensor on this wheel. Can't remember if it goes in front of or behind this. Definitely will need some heat shielding on there. Ground, which I need to clean up. I think there's definitely a heat shield goes over that based on that plug there. Probably ties into that somewhat to hide that. These obviously go into the fuse box, which will be there. This goes into the ECU. We've got the wire for an indicator and another ground. These all go to the headlights. That goes to the fog lights, that goes nowhere. Then we have this line, comes around here. And again, one off to the indicator, headlights. And then another set that come down here to the washer pump. Horn, washer pump, and fog lights again. So I think that's all connected. Need to replace the dogbone mount as well. And yeah, I think this is pretty much, once I figure out the heat shielding, this is ready for the engine to come back in. One other thing I also have to do is, obviously there's a lot of earth points in here that have been painted, so I need to clean them up so there's a nice connection again. Yep, that's all nice and cleaned up. So we'll just we'll tighten these up properly later. But now that should hopefully be a good earth again. We've got another one here, one there, and there's one on the other side as well. Right, I think we are as good as we're going to get before we put the engine in. Everything's all swapped over, everything's plumbed in that I can plumb in, everything's earth that I can earth. There's some captive nuts on the backside that have completely crumbled, so this is not held in greatly, but we're going to have to live with that. All the heat shields are on. Let's get the engine in. Right, so the last thing to do is to get this bottom gearbox mount out, called the dogbone. This is a bit funky being under the car with everything all sealed up. But essentially we're replacing, oh I'm too close, this one with this one, which is what came on the GT. Not quite sure which way around it goes, probably that way around, I guess. So it fits the same depth. We'll see. Okay, well that's not going to fit in there, is it? That's going to be a tough one. And there we go, that's the dogbone mount in. I can actually record properly. Now it's time to try and get this around the front of the house without hitting anything or going down any holes. Maybe slabs them up a little. Need a hand again. Didn't see you there. Who laid this path? The engine's gone walkies. There we go. Nope.
I'll just stand here and watch you struggle.
I need another bit of resistance, please.
Don't hit my car.
Back to where we were. Last April, getting it out of the Skoda. Right.
You're going to have to go all the way down and then round.
I'm just going to move the Skoda.
fell down there.
Right, put the engine in the road. Right, gonna give me a hand, just lift it in.
You are joking.